Hello everyone, welcome you all to the day one of the Prelims Simplified playlist, where we will be discussing about all the important static concepts which are of high yielding in nature, which would definitely help the aspirants in their Prelims 2026. So this playlist starts with this very introduction video as to what is the total or the actual agenda behind this playlist, and we will be utilizing or undergoing a different methodology this time, unlike simply covering the topics straight away from the static book or the reference materials. Here, this particular time, we are trying to initiate another change, to kind of help the students imbibe, or let's say, touch that active recalling part, which will help them ace this examination, and also which will be very handy for them even in the entire process of their preparation throughout the entire stages, be it prelims, mains, and interview. Right. So let's begin this particular video. It's a small briefing about what this playlist would look like. So let's start it. So as I have already said, this is a new playlist of the Prelims 2026 by the name Prelims Simplified, where we will be discussing the high yield topics for the UPSC Prelims. And for a change, this is going to be a question and answer based learning series, pretty much like how most of the students have learned in their schooling. And in fact, even when UPSC asks something in the prelims, it is of course a question, and the moment a question is being asked, something happens in your brain where you try to recall that information, right? So the problem here is, the student, had they read, or if they had read the entire book, or let's say the reference material, let's say Polity Lakshmikant for that matter, in the question answer format, maybe the moment the question is asked in the prelims examination, they will be able to easily recall, they will be able to easily connect the question. But rather what's happening is, when the students are reading the reference materials, it is pretty much a one-way kind of a reading, right? They're simply reading without knowing what is important, without even knowing where to focus more or where to focus less. And when they take the tests, the moment they see the question, because that is the very first time someone would have questioned them about that particular topic, and that questioning happens in the prelims exam or maybe in the mock test, that is when they get claustrophobic, or let's say that is when they kind of go completely uncomfortable even to answer the question, and most often they get confused. And the major reason for the confusion is because they have not trained their mind to recall things, the information that they have studied for, or let's say recall that information which the question is demanding. So hence, this new series, the new high yielding topics Prelims Simplified series, focuses on the UPSC Prelims 2026, where we'll only be focusing on the frequently asked topics, and importantly, to make sure that in these areas, in these important chapters, or let's say important concepts, the conceptual clarity is achieved. And also this we will be achieving through the use of very light materials. Of course, we will not use any bulky theory nor any information overload, but simple question with answers, which pretty much covers the entire topic. So why another prelims playlist, if you might ask? Because you have lot of other playlists available in the market, but why this, if you ask me? Because many aspirants, they read a lot but recall very little, as we have discussed in the very beginning, and the notes for that matter, whatever they have read, is either too bulky or is not adequate, or let's say is not clear. And with this, the problem is the revisions, which usually does not happen, or even if they happen, it becomes too stressful, right? And with this, what happens? The fear builds up as the days are reducing, and as the prelims date approaches, the tension, the fear, and the anxiety for the prelims examination becomes twofold higher. So the core problem is, the preparation looks very neat for the aspirant, but actually it is only passive and it is not exam oriented, because the student is only reading, not questioning anything whenever he's reading, right? And the only questioning that happens is in the mock test or probably in the actual prelims test, when for the first time something is being questioned by that particular topic. That's when he starts thinking, and he has never trained his mind to think, and obviously he will not be able to recall the information, and obviously either he gets the question wrong or he stays confused, probably not answer the question. And even if he's answering the question and even if the question goes wrong, negative marks and probably no call for the mates, right? So hence this particular plan here, the prelims simplified, the core idea is to make sure that we are learning through questions, not chapters, and every topic is covered in a question answer format. Questions are framed exactly on the UPSC standards and multiple areas. In fact, one particular question will pretty much subsume all the other important areas to make one simple integrated question, which if you know 5 to 6 points for that particular question, definitely you will be able to answer at least 5 or 6 different questions from those two topics which have been integrated. So the ultimate agenda is that if you can answer these questions, you are prelims ready, right? So now also there might be another question: why question answer format works for prelims? As we have already discussed, one important thing is it mirrors the UPSC. It mirrors the way how UPSC tests concepts, right? Because UPSC is not asking you to write a descriptive answer like mains, right? But on the other hand, here UPSC is pretty much asking you like a viva, like a questioning or a questionnaire round, where it is asking you questions and it is also giving you 4 options, and you have to answer only in those 4 options only. You have to find the answer only within those 4 options. That is what UPSC wants, especially in the prelims examination. Unlike mains, where a question is asked and you have the liberty to write anything and everything about the topic, whatever you know, right? But here it's not like that, correct? So hence it is very important that the question answer format will help you build that recalling capacity, and most importantly, we will force the brain to think and recall and not just read. So this also helps identify all the conceptual gaps which earlier the student will have, and ultimately will help the student to gain the conceptual clarity more better, right? So what are the key advantages of this playlist, if you can ask me? The first thing is it strengthens active recall. As we discussed, now we are training the brain right from tomorrow. The moment the playlist starts, we are training your brain to recall, to think for an answer, to think for that particular information, right? Rather on that particular prelims day, on the first day, you're just sitting, or probably when you're taking the mocks, and even if you have not taken mocks also, even these playlists, attending these playlists is more than sufficient for you to clear the prelims, or at least you can get 5 to 10 questions solved easily just by following this playlist in any particular subject. That is guaranteed, right? And second important advantage of this playlist is it improves the conceptual clarity, obviously, and then it reduces the last minute panic, because now you have been trained to think, now you have been trained to develop the conceptual clarity, and now obviously the anxiety, the fear, the tension around the prelims gradually decreases, right? And it builds MCQ solving confidence as well, which is another important aspect. And then it most importantly saves the revision time, especially in the last few moments. So this can be pretty much this can be encashed by many of the aspirants. But still, if you can think of one particular category, who can make this playlist effective, it is those aspirants who have actually started their preparation, who has already finished the standard books at least once or twice, correct? And then they have already made a notes, correct? So now the conceptual clarity, if not better, at least some clarity is definitely there. But to bring more clarity, to bring more renounced understanding in those particular concepts, this playlist will definitely be a go-to playlist for that particular aspirant. Okay, so now how this helps you overcome prelims fear? It's once again the same thing, because prelims is an exam which checks the confidence of the student, the confidence of the aspirant with respect to their preparation, with respect to the concepts that they have known. So hence this playlist, or by solving or learning or training your mind to find an answer through active recalling, builds familiarity, and this leads to calmness in the examination hall, because now you're familiar with the questioning, you're familiar when someone is asking you the question, you're familiar to find the information inside the memory card of your brain, right? So that's what is the main agenda of this. So now, how to use this playlist effectively? So first and foremost is watch the video, right? And whenever you're watching the video, whenever a question comes, please pause the video for a while and then try to answer it yourself, and afterwards we will discuss the answer. So that is one of the important exercise that you have to follow. Second is, after the video is done, you have to revise the questions, right? You have to revise the questions, and you should also revise your notes. But once after this video is done, you have to revise your entire subject, mostly using these questions, because now every time you want to revise, you're first seeing the question, right? And indirectly you are asking the question to yourself, and now you're training your mind to recall it, right? So this is one of the important exercise which will be very healthy and handy. And third is, the most important thing is to revisit videos for your final revisions. Probably you can put it on a 2x, right? And then just listen it as a podcast. Even that is also fun, something that can be possible, right? So that is all for this particular video. Anyway, we will be starting the playlist from tomorrow, and I hope this would be of utmost use for all the aspirants who would definitely use it. And anyway, that's all for this particular video. Stay tuned, and please make sure to follow the Believers IAS YouTube channel, and also hit that bell icon to not miss even a single video on this playlist going forward, right? So that's all for this particular video. Signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a beautiful day.